Hello. I bought this book and read it. Duty, Barak Obama Gates. And now you get to hear my thoughts on it. I do overall, I'm glad I got the book, but I have a couple of regrets. One regret is in this book, he refers to Afghanistan and Iraq as two wars. No, they weren't. No, they aren't. They are one war, different fronts of the same war. Just like Sicily and Tarawa were different fronts of the same war. As we can see now, what's popped up in Iraq, which George Bush was trying to keep from happening, there's striking resemblance to a lot of other Muslim fundamentalists, like the Muslim fundamentalist in Afghanistan. And in his book, he calls Obama's, oh, pulled the same thing Ted Kennedy did. He called Obama's part in the killing of Osama bin Laden brave and courageous. One of those words. And he is extremely wrong about that. There was absolutely nothing brave or courageous about Barack Obama's part in killing Osama bin Laden. He wasn't personally at risk. The SEALs, those were brave and courageous to sign up to be Navy SEALs and be more likely to get these risky assignments. And nobody was going to turn on him politically. He'd spent all campaign talking about Osama bin Laden. And he wasn't going to be at any other risk. He was still going to be surrounded by Secret Service. And so that was not brave or courageous. It was a no-brainer. I appreciate this book because of reading about Robert Gates' concern for the soldiers. His concern in trying to get the VA to give them the best treatment possible. His concern showed in trying to get them mine-resistant vehicles. My blood gets boiling when I think about soldiers not being sent out with the best equipment possible. And let's have a lot of armored personnel carriers, so bad guys will regret thinking about shooting at our soldiers. It was interesting to see the inside workings of the government that I couldn't have seen any other way but by buying this book. And while I strongly agree with him using those inaccurate words to describe Obama's role in killing Osama bin Laden, Robert Gates is not an Obama sycophant. So in the book you get to see some weaknesses of Obama, things he shouldn't have said, things he said when the camera wasn't around, and how he operated. But the best thing about this book, that's what I want to read a little bit to you about, is America loved more now that we have Obama. Do they love us now? They used to hate us so much, and we had George Bush the cowboy putting together enormous coalitions, 30 or 40 something strong. Yeah, we're really hated when we get a coalition of 30 or 40 nations strong. Well, let's see what we can learn about that subject. Was America hated and or loved more or less under George Bush, who I am not a sycophant for, and overall I disapprove of his presidency, or under Obama. The U.S. military also rendered substantial assistance during the historic flooding in Pakistan during the summer of 2010. By late July, one-fifth of the country was underwater, with 20 million people affected and some 2,000 dead. Many of the roads needed to reach victims were destroyed or inundated. Our military help began August 1st through 2nd with the delivery of food, water filtration plants, and 12 temporary bridges. I then directed deployment of 6 CH-47 Chinook helicopters to Pakistan from Afghanistan On August 11th, with the arrival of the USS Peleliu, we were able to provide a total of 19 helicopters for rescue and relief, and toward the end of August, the USS Kearsarge was deployed to help as well. Our relief help after a massive earthquake in Pakistan in 2005, when George Bush was president, had been warmly welcomed and led to an overall of temporary downturn in anti-Americanism there. There we go. But 5 more years of war in Afghanistan, drone attacks inside of Pakistan, some of those years with Obama's president, drone strikes by Obama. Drone strikes and growing problems between our governments had taken a toll. By summer of 2010, 68% of Pakistanis had an unfavorable view of the United States. I was therefore extremely nervous about security for our helicopters and their crews. They were operating in western Pakistan, in areas such as Swat that were hotbeds of extremist and Taliban fighters. Villagers and even local police and Pakistani military, accustomed to attacks by U.S. drones, looked upon our military arrival with suspicion, if not outright hostility. I insisted that the Pakistani military have an officer on every flight to explain we were there to help, and to organize distribution of supplies as the choppers were unloaded. Pakistani press reported that villagers waiting for aid showed no enthusiasm for the crews of our helicopters, and that there were no waves, smiles, or handshakes. Our crews reported some favorable reactions from Pakistanis, but overall there was great suspicion of our motives and questions as to why we weren't doing more in the way of long-term assistance to improve their roads and bridges. Despite the dour reception during the first 3 weeks of August, our air crews evacuated some 8,000 people and delivered 1.6 million pounds of relief supplies. Nonetheless, anti-Americanism in Pakistan was undiminished after a few years of President Obama. It's a couple of years of President Obama's presidency, which proves that we are not more loved now that we have Barak Hussein Obama. Oh, I'm about to faint. Thank you. Have a good day.